Kodama, The Three Spirits, a game by Action Phase, a small game that I had to tell you is so pretty, is so beautiful. The art I find so poetic that even if there wasn't a game in here, just cards to use as bookmarks, I'd be happy. I'd be happy with the product. That's just how much I like the art. On top of that, actually, on top of this beautiful art, there is a design here. There is a very original design, well, with some ideas that you've seen somewhere else, but they're implemented in a quite original way, and again, in a, what I would dare to say, a poetic way. In Kodama, the players grow trees, and they're trying to grow the prettiest and most poetic trees that they can, to invite the spirits of the forest to live there. Now, you have this beautiful scoring board that just is a very nice component. Here there's a track where players will place the tokens, indicating their points, how much they have in tens and units. Here there is a turn track. The game is played in 3 seasons of 4 turns each, so it's a total of 12 turns, and at the end of each season there is a mini score round, but these are the 12 rounds where the main action happens. Each player starts with a trunk, which is assigned randomly, and each trunk has a symbol, one of the 6 possible symbols, one of the 6 possible suits in the game. Fireflies, stars, clouds, mushrooms, flowers, and caterpillars. So each player receives a trunk and places it in front of themselves at the beginning of the game. Then, as we said, the game is divided in 3 seasons, and each season has a special card that's called a decree. So there's a deck of cards for Spring Decree, Summer Decree, and Fall Decree. Simply put, in each game, you draw one of them randomly, and that will determine special effects, special circumstances. So Spring, Summer, and Fall will be different in each game because each of these cards changes the rules for that part of the game somewhat. Then the main game. In the main game you also have these cards here. These are the Kodama cards. You will get a hand of these cards and you will score one of them at the beginning of each season. So you're basically trying to build your tree to meet the conditions and requirements on your cards, so that then when it is time to score, you can play a card and score big. So you have to take into account what you have in your hand to be able to figure out what is the most profitable way to build your tree. As for building the tree itself, you have a pretty thick deck of cards representing branches with various symbols of various suits, as you can see. And there will be a display of 4 such cards always available, and the players will select a card from that when it is their turn. So basically, a basic turn is as simple as that. It is a basic turn. You take one of the available cards, you add it to your tree, and that's it. And that's it. That's your turn. Now, when you add it to your tree, there are a couple of rules to follow. One is that, of course, you have to build out of an existing branch, but look, you have a lot of freedom there. Another rule is that each card can only touch one other card, so you cannot touch multiple cards. You cannot have branches that hang out of the table. You have a lot of different ways in which you can build your tree. This is just an example, pretty much randomly placed. I'm not even checking to see if it makes any sense game-wise. But as you can see, as you can imagine, the trees may develop in very different ways from game to game. Now, after you play a card, you score the symbols on that card. Basically, you score a point for each symbol on that card. Here, clouds, firefly, and caterpillar. Also, you go down the branch, from the branch that you are towards the tree, and you score an extra point for each symbol that matches the one on the card you just played in a contiguous line. For example, after I play this card, I have 2 caterpillars here, and then I go down there. So I score 1 for the cloud, Actually 2 for the stars, because it's going down here, let's see, another star here, and 2 for the caterpillars. Suppose actually this is the card that I just played and I'm scoring it. I score 2 for the clouds, I score 3 for the caterpillars, and 2 points for the flowers. If there is a card in between that doesn't have the icon that matches the icon in the lines that you're trying to form, then that breaks the line. You don't get to score. It's just an example. If I can find a card that would fit, suppose that we are here, something like this, and we're placing what is that? There you go. And we're placing this card here. Now there we have mushrooms, and I score a mushroom, but then this card doesn't have any mushrooms, so I don't get to score the other mushrooms. So for this card I only score a point for the mushroom. Clouds, 1, 2, 3. Then here I have a card without clouds, so 3 is all that I get. I don't get to score that card. So you may be able to get all the way down to your tree as long as there is an uninterrupted line of cards. And as we said, every 4th turn you get to score one of your Kodama cards that will give you special abilities. For example, here you score 2 for each type of feature and branch cards that touch your trunk card. This is very important because once I told you the scoring, which is, you know, a contiguous line of symbols from the card you just played towards the tree, then you may imagine that all you need is 1 or 2 ginormous branches that will score you a chain of icons every time that you add something to it. But first, it may be that the cards that are available in the display to get do not allow you to really add the profitable things. Like adding 1 may give you like 1 or 2 points, and maybe starting another branch may be a good investment. But most importantly, there are cards such as this one that will give you an incentive to spread around, to have many branches rather than just 1 or 2 incredibly long branches. Like in this case, having several cards around my trunk scores me points. Well, look at this, score 20 points if you have no cards that are more than 3 cards away from your trunk card. Again, it is about spreading many short branches rather than a bunch of huge ones. Other ones are more generic, more what you expect, because it's about simply having a number of symbols on your tree, no matter where. So here's caterpillar or firefly on your tree, 2 points for each, whichever is fewer. So you can't just invest on one only. So the Kodama cards really give you a lot of nice ways of scoring, but it also means that impacts your gameplay in a way that forces or encourages your tree to grow pretty organically. That is, you're scoring points, mind you. You're trying to score points to create good configurations, but the overall result is one that really feels fluid, organic, and pretty, because you are creating a balance between expanding and diversifying, between going in some directions and make sure that the other directions are not completely overlooked. At the end, you have trees that are just pretty to look at. Sometimes if you're OCD, since these cards are not 90 degrees from one another, they're not in clean lines like you have in many other games where cards are used, maybe that'll freak you out. But I find actually the result to be aesthetically very pleasing. This is a game in which the system of rules, you're trying to create sets, you're trying to create patterns, and to meet certain conditions. The rules almost also work as an aesthetic principle, as a constructing principle, because they give a certain organization to the cards. I find that at the end, there's a certain, I don't know, harmony in the trees that maybe you wouldn't have if you were just placing cards randomly and creating, you know, a tree just for the sake of it. There's a certain prettiness, a certain beauty in the final product, and there's a certain harmony, a certain balance in the process of creating that tree that is beautiful per se. I really like this game. Again, to me, it's a game that has an almost poetic quality. I like the atmosphere, a certain oniric, a certain dreaming quality that it has. The art is beautiful, gameplay is so simple and yet pretty satisfying, and yet definitely engaging. It's interesting. I just complained in another review for a game called Retreat to Darkmoor about an excess of special unique effects. Retreat to Darkmoor is a game with a very simple engine. You play a card and you refill your hand and that's it. But that takes place in a tornado game effects that makes the game feel very chaotic. Here you have this super simple idea. Take a card, add it to your tree, replenish the display, and that's it. Such a simple idea, such a linear idea that my 6-year-old daughter, even that my 4-year-old daughter could understand. But then you have some effects that give depth and give different perspectives on the design, different ways that you can go about scoring points because of the seasonal decrease that will change the rules in play, because of the effects that you have here that you're trying to match. So you have nice elements, nice pools of interacting elements from the cards available, from what you placed before, from these cards and the decrease. Nice interaction there to create a strategy, but it does not feel overwhelming, it does not feel forced. You feel that you have a certain degree of control, you feel that what you do in a certain sense matters, and you do not have to obsess about chains of known events and combos that you're trying to prevent the opponent from pulling because you know that that's what they're trying to do, etc, etc, etc. It's a game that is lighter, but to me somehow deeper and more engaging. To me it has a very nice balance between incredibly simple core mechanic and a pool of unique effects that are integrated with that mechanic that make the game interesting without making it forced or fiddly or overwhelming or too much about the mechanics. To me, it's a game that is about the tree, it is about the poetry and beauty of the situation. I like it immensely. I think it's a great game. Mind you, it's a light game, it's a filler, but I think this is one that will hit the table quite often because it's a filler, it's one that I can teach easily to people in 2 minutes. And just the overall experience is so captivating that I think this is a game that will keep working well in my group and will become, I don't know if it's a staple for years to come, but this will be a game that will get played in my group. Beautiful, beautiful, fun, simple, linear, a great filler that can be played by adults and children alike. Kodama, the Tree Spirits. 2 high thumbs or 2 how verdant branches from me for Kodama, the Tree Spirits. Really nice game.